Coming in at number 10, fits the mold. Alright, so I think most of us were expecting to hear about some of the ingrained biases that members of the royal family grow to have. In the first episode of the series, Prince Harry revealed that there is a temptation in royal family to marry someone who, quote, fits the mold. And I think most of us are aware of this kind of mentality for the royal family, and honestly, on a more laid-back scale, this is prevalent in most families in the world. There is an expectation to find a significant other who meets a standard that the rest of your family probably instilled in you. The only thing is that, for the royal family, breaking that mold is 1, very easy to do, and 2, comes with harsh backlash. Prince Harry said, quote, I think for many people in the family, especially the men, there can be a temptation or an urge to marry someone who would fit the mold rather than someone you are perhaps destined to be with. And in my opinion, while most of us would agree that there is absolutely nothing actually wrong with Meghan, she is successful, beautiful, respectful, and seems like an incredibly lovely person, most of that has been undercut by the color of her skin, her choice of profession, and the country she comes from. It's just the truth. Prince Harry added to finish this point that, quote, the difference between making decisions with your head or your heart, and my mum certainly made most of her decisions from her heart. I am my mother's son. And coming in at number 9, learning from the past. Talking about his parents, in episode 2 of the series, Harry revealed that both he and Meghan, who were both children of divorce, didn't want to make the same mistakes as their parents, which is something a lot of children of divorce and messy marriages can relate to. Harry said, quote, what's most important for the two of us is to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes that perhaps our parents made. I think most kids who are the product of divorced parents have a lot in common, no matter what your background is. Being pulled from one place to another, or maybe your parents are competitive, or you're in one place longer than you want to be in. You're in another place less than you want to be. There's all sorts of pieces to that. And he is definitely not wrong. As an example, my parents are split up, and I find it a bit harder to relate to people whose parents have stayed together. You also observe your parents, and over time you can understand and learn the ways they failed their marriages, and sometimes the ways they did some things right. The fear of following in those negative footsteps is a huge relatable factor that I think probably makes Harry and Meghan's relationship stronger than some others in the family who are afraid to lean into their feelings like that. Number 8, unconscious bias. Okay, we've been pretty heavy on this list so far, but it's important because this whole thing is basically love versus duty versus hundreds of years of both conscious and unconscious biases. And the Duke spoke on this quite a bit. He said, quote, in this family, sometimes you're part of the problem rather than part of the solution, and there is a huge level of unconscious bias. The thing with unconscious bias is that it's actually no one's fault, but once it's been pointed out or identified within yourself, you then need to make it right. Now, a lot of us who have already learned better or just knew better from the start will jump straight to a point of anger about the biases that are so prevalent in the royal family, but there is also a level of these people are incredibly sheltered and closed off. The royals are kind of in a world of their own. It's not really okay, and it's a little archaic, but it is the truth. Harry goes on to say, quote, it's education, it's awareness, and it's a constant work in progress for everyone, including me. He then went on to talk about his past controversy when he dressed up as a member of the World War II National Socialist German Workers' Party. Now you know who I'm talking about when I say that, right? Because YouTube won't actually let me say their usual name. Just want to make that clear. We know who we're talking about. Harry dressed up like this at a costume-themed party back in 2005, and he said it's, quote, one of the biggest mistakes of my life. He added that, quote, I felt so ashamed afterwards. And then he explained how he met with survivors and rabbis in order to educate himself on his wrongdoings. Now that's just an example of how the royal family can be out of touch with reality just a little bit.
How dare you behave like you've done my children?
I have not done anything.
Stalking around here looking for us and our children. I went for a quiet bike ride with my children on Saturday, and you won't even give me your name.
Prince William's younger brother, Prince Harry, just implied that William and Princess Kate harbor jealousy over his wife and Duchess Meghan Markle. Stick around until the end to get the full dish. Welcome back to our favorite edition of Where Are They Now? I'm your host Michaela, here to break it all down. Prince William, born in full as William Arthur Philip Louis on June 21st, 1982, is the Prince of Wales, Duke of Cornwall and Cambridge, and Earl Strathern and Baron Carrickfergus, known earliest as Prince William of Wales. He was welcomed into the world in Paddington, in London, England as the elder son of the late Princess Diana of Wales and King Charles III, and heir to the British throne. Princess Kate, born in full as Catherine Elizabeth Middleton on January 9, 1982, is the Princess of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall and Cambridge. She was welcomed into the world in Reading, Berkshire, England. She became the consort of William in 2011 and remains as so, as well as an heir apparent to the British throne. Question of the day: do you believe the royals are jealous of Meghan as Harry implied? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's jump right in. William's education was received in his earliest days at London's Wetherby School, later attending Berkshire's Ludgrove School between 1990 to 1995 and Windsor's Eton College from 1995 to 2000. Prior to William's enrollment at Scotland's University of St Andrews School, where he was studying art history and later took up geography, the prince dedicated a whole year to traveling abroad. Thanks to his mother, William was exposed to charitable activities in his earlier life, which resulted in him participating in volunteer work in Chile. Furthermore, the prince worked on a British dairy farm and visited countries in Africa. In 2005, William became a St Andrews graduate, and following this, in 2006, entered the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. Even though William was willing to join Iraq's British forces, military officials suggested William nor his younger brother Harry should be set up to serve due to the potential of becoming specific attack targets, which would in turn place their fellow soldiers at risk. However, Harry eventually wound up lending his services to 2 Afghanistan duty tours. 2008 saw William work for a limited amount of time in the Royal Air Force and later the Royal Navy, so he received the opportunity to gain working experience in all 3 major armed service branches. In 2010, William finalized his helicopter pilot training in the RAF Search and Rescue Forces and started on a Wales duty tour. Reportedly, William was a participant in over 150 operations prior to ending his military run in September 2013. Down the road, William served as an air ambulance pilot for 2 years between July 2015 to July 2017. Kate was born as the eldest of 3 kids to Carol and Michael Middleton, with her siblings being Pippa and James. Her parents acquainted themselves while working as British Airways flight attendants, and in 1987 the couple founded a children's parties supplies mail order business. The success of this business venture, mixed with family inheritance, gifted the Middletons the opportunity to send Kate off to prep school and later enroll her into England's prestigious Marlborough College in Wiltshire. Here, Kate, who went by her full name of Catherine Pryor, was defined to be a determined, level-headed student who excelled in both academics and athletics, where she captained the school's field hockey team. Within the royal family, Prince William is ranked amongst the most popular. He received great admiration for his control of emotions and overall grace in light of Diana's 1997 car crash tragedy in Paris. 10 years following this, both William and Harry put together a London memorial service in honor of the anniversary of her death. Similar to his father, William remains active in environmental issues and is an avid sportsman. Back in 2020, William announced the Earthshot Prize creation, which was directly inspired by John F. Kennedy's moonshot plan to send a man to the moon. The goal behind this was to, quote, repair the planet, and was reported to have been awarded in 5 categories over the course of a decade. Back in November 2010, another royal wedding was announced, this time for William to tie the knot with his then longtime girlfriend Kate, who met when they both attended St Andrews. Their ceremony was held on April 29, 2011 at London's Westminster Abbey. The couple's first child, son Prince George Alexander Louis of Cambridge, was birthed on July 22, 2013. Then came their newborn daughter, Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana of Cambridge, on May 2, 2015. Finally, Catherine and William welcomed their second and last son, Prince Louis Arthur Charles of Cambridge. In line with the death of Queen Elizabeth II on September 8, 2022, William's father Charles was appointed king. This meant William transitioned into an heir apparent and inherited the title of Duke of Cornwall from his father, who bestowed the titles of Prince of Wales onto William shortly after.
Number 3. Rehearsed. Now this next part is something I just assumed happened, but right at the start of episode 3, Meghan spoke about the BBC engagement interview that the couple did, and she said it was a, quote, orchestrated reality show. She explained how the interview itself was pretty much pre-planned. She said, quote, it was rehearsed, we did the thing out with the press, then we went right inside, took the coat off, and did the interview. So it's all in that same moment. When she was asked if the couple were prepped on how the interview would play out, she continued, yeah, but also like, then there'll be a moment when they'll want to see the ring, so show the ring. We weren't allowed to tell our story because they didn't want it, she added. Which is the interesting part, honestly. I think a rehearsed interview could be expected at the very least. Like, if I married a royal, I would just know that that kind of thing comes with the territory. But to have to leave out the things you do want to talk about does feel wrong. That's where you can see the narrative control that was in place. Number 2. Tabloid attack. Now, another side to that narrative control comes into play when we talk about negative press. Controlling what the family says is one thing, and that part is relatively understandable when dealing with what is essentially a business that thrives off public opinion. But that also comes with being able to control the news. And in the third episode, the Duchess claimed that salacious stories were planted in the press in the lead up to her wedding to Harry in 2018. And it's very true that during that time, every tabloid you saw had some wild claim about Meghan and Harry. She said that, quote, "We were playing whack-a-mole every day. Every day it was like, wait, another one popped up? Wait, stop, another story. Constant." In the episode, they showed headlines like, quote, "related to serial killer," along with references to a X and Meghan went on saying, quote, "They were going through the woodwork and pulling people out to create and plant the most salacious stories that they could." I think she is talking about the press themselves, but the planting of stories part is pretty clearly talking about a play from the palace itself. And in at number 1 is a secret list. To close out this list on a more cute note, I didn't want to be so negative the whole time. Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, had a little reminiscing about early on in their relationship during episode 1 of the series, and they talked about how Harry had this not so little, quote, extensive list of things that he would be looking for in a girlfriend, and I guess eventual wife. Meghan seemed to think that this was adorable, but I mean, she passed the test, so of course she would think that. In the episode, she jokingly and kind of adorably said how, quote, he had a list apparently of what he was looking for, an extensive list, with Harry jumping on to add, "I'm not showing you the list." It was kinda cute, I'm not gonna lie. Number 7, spies in the backyard. During the second episode of the series, Meghan revealed that paparazzi actually paid her neighbors in Toronto to spy on her. Meghan revealed that when the news broke of her relationship with Harry back in 2016, her neighbors in Toronto were paid by members of the press to plant a camera in her backyard. She said, quote, "It felt like all of the UK media descended upon Toronto. My house was just surrounded, just men sitting in their cars all the time, waiting for me to do anything." See, Meghan, being a celebrity already, has dealt with the press before, but the press surrounding the royal family, they're on a whole different level. And I'm sure the ridiculous controversy of the situation just brought it all to another level on top of that. She continued on, saying, quote, "My neighbors texted me saying, they're knocking on everyone's door, they're trying to find you. They had paid certain neighbors to put a live stream camera into my backyard. Suddenly, it was like everything about my life was getting so much more insular. All the curtains were pulled, all the blinds were pulled. It was scary." And that element of fear plays perfectly into this next point. Number 6, protection? But why? A little bit later in the second episode, Prince Harry claimed that members of the royal family asked why Meghan should get special treatment and be protected when the two of them had issue with the actions of the British press, descending on her home, neighbors, and privacy. But not only that, the headlines being pumped out about the couple and Meghan specifically were not just vicious, but were also pretty damn racist. The couple referenced a Daily Mail newspaper headline from 2016 that said, and I quote here, "Harry's girl is almost, in brackets, straight out of Compton," which I could go on a 13-minute rant about that on its own. Harry said that when they brought their concerns to the family, quote, "the direction from the palace was don't say anything." He added, quote, "But what people need to understand is, as far as a lot of the family were concerned, everything that she was being put through, they had been put through as well. So, it was almost like a rite of passage." He said that some of the members of the royal family were like, quote, "My wife had to go through that, so why should your girlfriend be treated any differently? Why should you get special treatment? Why should she be protected?" And as Harry correctly responded to that, quote, "The difference here is the race element. Something pretty much all the other members of the royal family cannot relate to." Number 5, formality. Stepping away from that issue for a moment, also in episode 2, the Duchess talked about her first meeting with Harry's brother, Prince William, and his wife, Kate. Meghan revealed that the formality that we see presented to the public every day by the royal family is not just an outward show, but it even carries over behind closed doors as well, which is another example of the reality of royal life. Speaking about her meeting with Kate, Meghan said, quote, "I met her for the first time, they came over for dinner, and I remember I was in ripped jeans and I was barefoot. I was a hugger, I've always been a hugger, but I didn't realize that this is really jarring for a lot of proud Brits. Now, I should say, I am actually British. I was born there and I came here at a young age. All of my family is British, but hugging is not jarring for us. Like, I want to be clear, British people like a hug as much as the next person. I love hugs. What I will admit here is that there is some kind of ingrained awkwardness, and especially when dealing with the formality of a royal. A hug is probably incredibly out of place for most of them. This segment continued on with footage of Kate and William walking alongside each other with Meghan's voice saying, quote, "I started to understand very quickly that the formality on the outside carried through on the inside." Now, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for someone on the outside not accustomed to the royal life, putting on this display of royalty for the cameras and the people can probably be very exhausting. And then learning that for the rest of the family, it isn't really a display at all. That would probably be a bit disarming. Number 4. Actor. But going back to the issues that the family had with Meghan, still in episode 2, Harry explained that Meghan's career as an actress skewed the judgment of his family, meaning her choice of profession made most of his family believe that the relationship wouldn't last that long. He said, quote, "I remember my family first meeting her and being incredibly impressed. Some of them didn't quite know what to do with themselves, but then the Duke jokingly added, I think they were surprised, maybe surprised that a ginger could land such a beautiful, intelligent woman. Then he jumped back to the reality of the situation, saying, quote, "The fact that I was dating an American actress was probably what clouded their judgment more than anything else at the beginning. Oh, she's an actress, this won't last." Viewers also spotted another problem with Harry and Meghan's recollection of their first meeting. Harry revealed in the first episode how he met Meghan, but it appeared to be contradictory to past versions of that story, and on top of that, fans spotted issues with the pair's new tale of his proposal as well. In a previous interview about their engagement in 2017, Harry claimed that he had proposed to the Duchess in the kitchen on a standard, typical night in their cottage, but in the new series, Harry says he proposed in a candlelit garden. At yet another point in the documentary, Harry claims he was blocked from seeing the Queen, which goes against what he told Oprah Winfrey during the 2021 interview. During that interview, Harry said, quote, "She said I have no plans for the week, why don't you come up and we'll have tea, stay the night, you and Meghan." With Meghan adding that they were on their way to Heathrow Airport and an urgent message came through saying that the Queen was busy, which was confirmed by the Queen herself, who told Harry she didn't know that she was supposed to be busy when Harry called her. Now in the second installment, Meghan has revealed why she opted for a trio of brightly colored outfits during the royal couple's farewell tour of the UK. Speaking in episode 5, Meghan said, "Until that last week in the UK, I rarely wore color and I never wanted to upstage or ruffle any feathers, so I tried to blend in. But I wore a lot of color that week. I felt, well, let's just look like a rainbow." But there are tons of photographs taken from many different royal outings over the years that prove that Meghan regularly wore many bright colors all the time. This is kind of a weird one. I don't know why anyone would lie about that. It's just bright colors. Kind of strange. There was also another point where Harry and Meghan spoke about being moved into Nottingham Cottage, a house in the grounds of Kensington Palace in London, which had previously been where Prince William and Princess Kate lived with Prince George. Speaking on this point, he said, "As far as people were concerned, we were living in a palace, but we were living in a cottage on palace grounds." For this one, I gotta say, one, you're living on the grounds of a palace, so shut up, you can't really complain about anything here. But two, the pair seem to forget that before they moved in, this cottage was Prince William and Kate Middleton's place when they had their firstborn son before moving in October 23rd to apartment 1A in Kensington Palace. It's not like a crappy place by any stretch of the imagination, so this one just seems kind of meh. I don't really like it. A lot of these points do not look good for the couple, and it does not help their situation, but they were going to receive backlash no matter what they did or said, and some people have gone to great lengths to try and find something to be upset about. For example, another kind of ridiculous criticism of the couple also came about from the documentary. People on the internet are claiming that the setting of the documentary's interviews wasn't actually at their home, and was instead at a bigger, more costly $33 million mansion, which is currently on the market located near the Sussex residence. Internet sleuths who care way too much about these things noticed that the photos of the property on the real estate page were the same as the backgrounds in some of the documentary scenes. Okay, so let's entertain this criticism and ask ourselves, why would a different house have been used? Well, outside of the possibility that it was actually their house, 1. The couple may have wanted to come across in a more lavish manner, therefore, by showing a property that had more opulence, it would have shown that they were living comfortably. If you think that makes them fake, then that's fair, but no one in the royal family isn't. But the second point, the internet sleuths who looked up all this information kind of proved the fact that it could simply have been due to security concerns. The couple may not have wanted to disclose their exact location, as well as the contents and layout of their own home to the whole world. But if we need a third point could be, it could have totally just been a production choice made for a variety of factors that have nothing to do with Harry and Meghan. Whatever the reason is, people on social media made their position very clear that they think the couple was trying to put on a persona that did not reflect their actual lives. I will agree that it doesn't help their situation, obviously, but I don't know about that one. The thing with this story is that the people who are longtime fans of the royal family absolutely hate Meghan, and they are quick to fight any claims she makes. Never once have I heard a royal family supporter agree with anything that Meghan says. But on the other hand, people who support Meghan or just don't like the idea of the royal family do the complete opposite, believing most of what Meghan says without even questioning it. And no matter your opinion, you are bound to run into large groups of people who will fight tooth and nail to disagree with you, no matter what. And I can already see the comments now who are going to disagree with that statement itself. Some comments about the topics that I have seen are just way too upset about the whole thing, in my opinion. This guy James wrote, "Prince Harry is an absolute embarrassment to the royal family. Him and Meghan should be stripped of any titles they have. The Queen would be devastated about the lies and deceit coming from the pair of them." People's feelings are intense on this subject, but despite that, we do want to hear your well thought out and non-combative opinions, so let's start a discussion down below. Since the first 3 episodes aired of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Netflix documentary, the couple has faced a wave of backlash over some of the claims they've made about Meghan adjusting to royal life and their struggles with the family's acceptance of Meghan in general. With the other 3 episodes out now, more is sure to come, so let's talk about some of the claims that have been disputed so far. I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and let's jump into it. Starting with even the trailer for the documentary itself, some apparent lies were already called out. Prince Harry claimed lies were told to protect his brother, Prince William, and suggested the couple, Harry and Meghan, were victims of institutional gaslighting. In response to that, Dickie Arbiter, who served Queen Elizabeth from 1988 to 2000, has debunked some of the allegations made by the couple and noted the couple are sending mixed messages saying, quote, "There are more holes in their story than a colander," which, to be lighthearted for a moment, is honestly a hilarious way of putting it. Dickie also had issue though when the Duchess of Sussex also revealed that their security was being pulled. Dickie gave a pretty good explanation, saying that was due to the couple moving to the United States and taxpayers won't pay for them to live in America, which I can't really argue with that one. That makes a lot of sense. In the documentary, Meghan also alleged that Kensington Palace advised her to not invite her niece, Ashley Hale, to her wedding. Ashley is the daughter of Meghan's half-sister Samantha Markle, who has had fallings out with the Duchess after the huge Oprah Winfrey interview that Harry and Meghan did back in March of 2021. Speaking on this claim though, a source close to the royal family told 9honey, quote, "We never gave any advice, steer, or guidance on who of her family or friends should or shouldn't come to her wedding." Another insider added, "Meghan didn't want the media to know about Ashley. No one on earth would have said don't invite family to the wedding. That's a complete and utter lie. We wanted more family there to make it look less weird for her." On the topic of this though, if you thought Piers Morgan would not be involved in this video, then you should have known better. Joining Piers on his show to discuss the first 3 episodes of the documentary was Sunday Times editor Roya Nika and her former royal correspondent Michael Cole. After Piers asked Roya for the truth about Meghan's claim, Roya replied, "That was not the account that 2 people who worked very closest with Meghan and Harry told me, both of whom had very specific recollections of that conversation with Meghan." The editor told Piers that it was Meghan who told the palace she didn't want her niece to attend the wedding to avoid exposing her to media scrutiny. At another point, the Duchess of Sussex claimed that she received no training when entering into the royal family. She compared it to the Princess Diaries, saying, quote, "Joining this family, I knew that there was a protocol for how things were done. And do you remember that old movie The Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway? There's no class and some person who goes sit like this, cross your legs like this, use this fork, don't do this, curtsy then, wear this kind of hat. it doesn't happen, so I needed to learn a lot. Which, first of all, I kinda hate that she said The Princess Diaries is old because now I feel old. That movie came out in 2001, more than 20 years ago. I hate everything. But back to the point of the claim of no training. An insider has since disputed Meghan's claim, telling 9honey again, and they revealed that Meghan was given a 30-point dossier by Prince Harry's then private security, Ed Lane Fox, which included various experts who could help Meghan on various aspects of life, including the Constitution, ladies-in-waiting, fashion, public life, and other things. The claims by Meghan follow allegations that Meghan rejected Queen Elizabeth's offer to be guided by Sophie, the Countess of Wessex. Sophie is another member of the royal family that did not come from royalty herself. The book, Elizabeth: An Intimate Portrait by Giles Brandreth, who is a friend of the royal family, says, quote, "The Queen, who of course had seen it all before, understood that Harry's girl might find adjusting to royal life challenging to begin with, as she put it. To help Meghan, the Queen suggested that her daughter-in-law, Sophie Wessex, would be an ideal mentor. And the Queen even apparently said, quote, Sophie can help show you the ropes." The author continued on writing that Meghan apparently made it very clear that she did not need help as she had Harry. On top of that, the Duchess reportedly also rejected advice from Camilla, who was the Duchess of Cornwall at that time. So it seems that Meghan didn't accept the help that was offered, if it was actually offered at all, which I think it probably was.
This hasn't stopped speculations, however. Some assume Meghan bowed out of respect for her husband, but other sources are concluding that this decision was made by higher powers in the royal family and Meghan had no say in it. Regardless though, expert Katie also explained that Meghan had agreed to visit the castle at another point in time, as she was already stationed in London for work-related matters and a since-cancelled event prior to the late Queen's death. Like Meghan, Kate Middleton was not in the company of Prince William in Scotland, but she and William clarified that it was because she had to stay back with their 3 children at Windsor Castle. Still, now there are talks about Meghan possibly not being present for the funeral. Previous British public affairs official Shannon Felton Spence had broken down that the Duke and Duchess were already traveling before the monarchy lost their ruler. But Meghan could very well return to California before the service to be with her 2 children as well. Shannon has stated on this topic, Harry will likely stay in the UK until the funeral. I can't imagine Meghan won't attend, but again, from a human perspective, Meghan was expecting to leave the kids for 6 days, not weeks, so may not be possible for her to stay the whole time. In a better turn of events though, both Harry and Meghan joined the remainder of the royal family in attendance to greet Elizabeth's coffin on Tuesday at Buckingham Palace. Before her passing, Elizabeth was publicly spotted that same day, appointing the UK's newest Prime Minister, Liz Truss. By the afternoon, the minister had tweeted a response to the palace's statement regarding the Queen's health with, "The whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace this lunchtime. My thoughts and the thoughts of people across our United Kingdom are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time." As Elizabeth's body arrived in Scotland, the Sussex were in attendance with William, Kate, King Charles III, and freshly appointed Queen Consort Camilla. This marked the couple's first time publicly appearing with William and Kate since March 2020, when pictures of them together were taken for that year's Commonwealth Day. Rumors that Meghan's absence in Scotland was originally due to Kate's decision to stay arose from their heavily publicized sighting. But a Page 6 insider dished that William had given the extended invite to his estranged brother and his wife. A royal source expressed their gratefulness for both parties being able to set their differences aside for the sake of the former queen. While there, the royal group viewed the floral tributes and stopped to thank the public in attendance for their support. Meghan herself was quite the social butterfly here, as she chatted with many people, asking them their names and even agreeing to a requested hug from one. And yet, her positivity was dulled by one particular occurrence during the occasion. When she was given a bouquet of flowers by the crowd, one aide attempted to grab them from her to lay at the memorial, but Meghan politely declined by thanking them and requesting to take them over herself. However, there was another senior aide who followed Meghan around when she received additional flowers. This one insisted on taking them, and Meghan ended up obliging. A Twitter user sparked commotion on the app when they posted both interactions on their account with the caption, "The big guns had to step in when Meghan refused to let go of the flowers the first aide tried to take from her, as she herself wanted to walk them over to the other tributes." Naturally, fans on Twitter were pretty divided over the situation. Some pointed out the fact that it was potentially protocol that the royals immediately hand off the flower to the aides, while others described Meghan's gesture as sweet, among other things. In other news, following Elizabeth's death, the former Prince Charles has become king, and his wife Camilla is now the Queen Consort. William and Kate now hold the titles of Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and Cambridge, with future possibilities of becoming the Prince and Princess of Wales. And little Archie and Lilibet from parents Meghan and Harry have now been deemed Prince and Princess because of their grandfather's ascension to the throne. However, Meghan and Harry will most likely not receive any new additions to their current titles. This could be due to their non-use of HRH age designations when they step back as senior royals. They still do hold onto their Duke and Duchess titles though, but their kids are technically now a prince and princess regardless. Due to the 1971 changes King George V created from their original traditions of automatic rights with the ascension of a new monarch, the updated protocols in place established that the children and grandchildren granted by the sovereign are automatically entitled to either the Royal Highness or Prince and Princess titles. When Archie and Lilibet were born, they were only the great-grandchildren of a sovereign, which means they had no royal titles. Still, there is a possibility that King Charles can revoke the newfound titles of his grandchildren during his ruling. When Meghan had spoken with Oprah, as aforementioned, she explained that the royal family had spoken about adjusting the rules in order to keep Archie from adopting his princely title. In addition to this, Meghan admitted that while she was pregnant with Archie, it was the family's decision not to grant him his HRH and prince positions, which had direct connections to the concerning decision of how quote dark the baby's skin would be at the time. There's also the additional possibility that Archie's parents will choose not to grant the newest titles to Archie and their daughter Lilibet, just like other royals Princess Anne and Prince Edward have previously done with their own children.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
Meghan Markle was reportedly in London when the former Queen of England passed away. However, most recent reports state that she was actually disinvited from Elizabeth's bedside in her final few hours. I'm your host Michaela, let's jump right in. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, is an American member of the British royal family and a former actress, due to her marriage to the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry. While she was active as an actress, her most notable portrayal is linked to her starring role in Suits as Rachel Zane. Aside from small screen works, Meghan also works as a blogger and once served as an editor-in-chief for the lifestyle brand The TIG before discontinuing in April 2017. Meghan was appointed as a World Vision Canada Global Ambassador in 2016 and has worked as a direct advocate for gender equality and the empowerment of women alongside the United Nations entity. She made her marriage to Prince Harry official in a lavish 2018 ceremony guested by numerous celebrities around the world. Following their wedding, Meghan was titled Duchess of Sussex as part of the royals. However, in 2020, the couple stepped down as senior members and relocated to California. Born Rachel Meghan Markle on August 4th, 1981, is the mixed-race current Duchess. Her father is a Caucasian-Irish Emmy-winning lighting director named Thomas W. Markle, while her mother is an African-American therapist and yoga instructor named Doria Radlin. Meghan also has a stepsister from Thomas's side of the family. Once Thomas and Doria were divorced, Meghan spent a lot of time with her father on sets of Married with Children. As a child, Meghan attended the Hollywood Little Red Schoolhouse and later went on to study at an all-girls independent Roman Catholic secondary school in LA called Immaculate Heart High. For university, Meghan was admitted into Northwestern in Illinois, where she graduated with double majors in international studies and theater in 2003. After her completion, Meghan worked as a U.S. Embassy intern in Buenos Aires. Time magazine added Meghan to their 100 most influential people in the world list in 2016. Meghan's romantic affairs prior to Harry started with producer Trevor Ingleson in 2004. These two tied the knot on September 10, 2011, but eventually split in August 2013 after 20 months. The year after, Meghan began seeing restaurateur and Canadian celebrity chef Corey Vitiello. However, their fling only remained intact until 2016. As per reports, Meghan acquainted herself with Harry in London, where she visited to watch her friend and sports star Serena Williams play in June 2016. Soon after, the pair made it official and sparked headlines once their engagement was announced. Meghan became Google's most searched personalities in 2016, and the pair eventually leveled up to fiancé status officially on November 27, 2017. In line with Meghan's engagement to Harry, she retired as an actor. Of course, the twosome's marriage followed shortly after, on May 19, 2018 to be exact. The ceremony took place at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle with a guest list of over 600 people, including the Queen and additional family royals of importance. In May of the next year, Meghan and Harry became parents, welcoming their firstborn Archie, and then again with their daughter Lilibet in 2021. Yet if we rewind a bit, in January 2020 we saw Meghan and Harry's announcement of stepping down from their senior member roles in the royal family. This decision meant the pair would be forced to divide their time between the UK and North America. When Meghan spoke to Oprah Winfrey in 2021, there were allegations from the Duchess about racism against the British royal household, and Meghan even made the admission that she nearly ended her life while she was directly a part of the British royalty. Thankfully, Meghan and Harry have found a balance in settling in Riven Rock, California presently. Becoming an actress growing up brought about some difficulties for Meghan, according to the Duchess. Due to her mixed-race upbringing, she hinted that being an actress was not her ideal choice for the mostly label-driven industry, where roles are usually given with strict ethnic descriptions. Nevertheless, one of Meghan's pals showed one of her college student films films to a manager who broke Meghan into the entertainment industry. Yet, Meghan originally found work difficult to seek because of her ethnicity, as she often described being not black nor white enough to snag one. Eventually though, Meghan ended up bagging an episode appearance for her General Hospital role in 2002. Since then, Meghan has obtained many TV show features, but her official breakout as an actor came with Suits in 2011, which ran for 7 seasons from 2011 to 2017. Her prominence only climbed higher in Hollywood when Meghan snagged other small screen works for Fringe, CSI New York, Cuts, Deal or No Deal, 90210, Without a Trace, Knight Rider, and CSI Miami. Her most successful big screen roles were for the 2010 film Remember Me and the 2011 movie Horrible Bosses. If you're enjoying today's WATN, help our channel grow by subscribing. Now, let's discuss where Meghan actually was when the Queen passed and how it relates to what we currently know. As per reports, Meghan's absence wasn't a mistake, especially after finding out that Prince Harry arrived by himself when he went to visit his late grandmother. Apparently, Meghan was not invited to be by her side, and even more, royal expert Katie Nicholl detailed that the Duchess understood she was not included when Harry was informed that Elizabeth was on her deathbed, equating to why he was solo for the trip and visit. Reeling back to 2001, Kate, as aforementioned, attended St. Andrews, where she and William met while he was still second in line for the throne after Charles. Over time, the now spouses began seriously dating. However, their relationship was not a thing for the public eye until they were captured together in 2004 vacationing in Switzerland. Even though there were frequent paparazzi intrusions, Kate managed to maintain a rather private life. Following her 2005 St. Andrews graduation, Kate briefly took on an occupation as a clothing retailer's accessory buyer, and she later reacquainted herself with numerous roles at her parents' company while doubling up as a performing host for charity work. After several years of intense speculation from the British media regarding the couple's marriage plans, the announcement dropped in November 2010 that they were engaged. Around this time, Kate was referred to very often as Weighty Katie. In order to prep for entrance into the royal family, Kate reverted back to her formal birth name, Catherine. Once a part of the royal crew, Kate was given the Duchess of Cambridge title. On the other hand, when William moved into his heir apparent position and Duke of Cornwall title after his father became monarch, Catherine then became the Duchess of Cornwall and Cambridge. The princess took on the title of Wales after William's Prince of William title was bestowed upon him. In September 2022, their children's titles were also upgraded to mark and reflect the transitions Kate and William had gone through as new Wales rulers. For example, their eldest George was appointed Prince George of Cambridge and Charlotte became Princess of Cambridge. Don't forget to hit the like button now if you're keeping up with the royal drama. Now, let's discuss William and Kate's rumored jealousy over Meghan, how it got revealed, and how it ties into today's video. Prince Harry just implied that Meghan is doing a far better job in the royal family than his brother and his wife, saying jealousy is what triggered a lot of this controversy. Netflix's latest addition to their royal docuseries highlighting Harry and Meghan held nothing back, and neither did Harry himself. In volume 2 of the show, Harry spilled the beans on his feelings about his royal family being jealous of his and his wife's popularity, and even claimed the palace once falsified a former statement of his. In turn, Harry suggested that this is what caused a sudden uprisal of negative press stories regarding Meghan. Quote, "The issue is when someone who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight or is doing the job better than the person who was born to do this, that upsets people." This was brought up by Harry due to headlines implying that Harry and Meghan are both more popular than their opposing senior royals, as well as included footage of Kate and Charles. Harry then added, "It shifts the balance because you've been led to believe the only way that your charities can succeed, the only way that your reputation can be grown or improved, is if you're in the front page of those papers. But the media are the ones who choose who to put on the front page." Harry followed this up with an example explaining that the very first time the penny dropped was after he and Meghan visited Buckingham Palace for a joint event with all the senior royal family members. That same morning, every paper imaginable showcased Meghan front and center with Kate off to the side. About this, Harry stated, "On the front page of the Telegraph, Meghan," to which Meghan herself recalled, "I went, oh my god." After this, Harry noted that Meghan didn't actually blame or fault herself for this though, and concluded with him agreeing and telling Meghan that his mom felt the same way. It was here when Harry further described the increasingly negative press coverage that Meghan started to appear in. And if you're wondering how and where William and Kate stand on this widely public issue currently, they've since been briefed by their aides about Harry and Meghan's second round of bombshells. But don't hold your breath for them to actually make y'all aware of it. Despite not watching the series themselves, William and Kate have stayed in the loop of scalding content and are scarily aware of what went down in the docuseries thanks to their aides who went ahead and spilled all the tea. As per a page 6 source, quote, William and Kate's aides have briefed them on the show, but don't expect the couple to sit down in their cottage with a bowl of popcorn to tune in themselves. Yeah, so we got it. And I mean, I guess this naturally makes sense, seeing as the prince and princess were far too busy ducking and dodging headlines the night prior while keeping company with the rest of the royals at a caroling service, using their standardly infamous tactic of, quote, never complain, never explain. And what would be a full breakdown if I didn't further brief you on what they could have presumably overheard? Well, aside from all the other messy stuff I got into earlier, there's also Harry accusing William of shouting and screaming at him during a meeting regarding the Sussexes stepping down from their titles and positions within the royal family. Then there's the much more serious claim of Harry's, in which he stated William broke a long-lasting agreement of never letting their offices brief against each other in the press. Again, from the doc Harry spilled, there's leaking, but then there's also planting of stories. So if the comms team wants to be able to remove a negative story about their principal, they will trade and give you something about someone else's principal. So the offices end up working against each other. It's kind of a weird understanding or acceptance that happens. And you can always say, I didn't know about this, or this would never happen. Are you suggesting that I condone this? It's like, no, but what I'm asking is, have you done anything to stop it? And the answer is no. Harry later shed light on the agreement they made for their own offices at that point and determined that William fully broke it. As Harry stated, I would far rather get destroyed by the press than play along with this game, or this business of trading. And to see my brother's office copy the very same thing we promised the two of us would never ever do was heartbreaking.